Okay, I think we're good to go. Hopefully everything's gonna work out perfectly, and I'm streaming. And once I see that I'm streaming, I'm gonna go ahead and start recording. Welcome. Let's go. Let's get this started. Hope it all works out as usual. Hit the recording and go.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Dropping the mask we wear day to day, building real trust in a brand new way. For a deeper connection, let's explore on transparent conversations. Transparent conversations, where every word can open doors. Transparent conversations. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to Transparent Conversations. I am your host, Calvin, or CPJR, or CPJR 300, if you feel me. Welcome to Transparent Conversations, Elevated Exchanges. I record this show every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:30 now. Seems like we're really getting up with the schedule. Welcome back to my little corner of the internet where I get to talk about anything I want to talk about, but these days I only seem to be able to talk about politics and current events on what's happening, because I think we need to have more liberal leftist voices out there to counteract all of the right-wing nonsense. So this is where I get to do that. Like I said, I record every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 now. So welcome here. If you're here for the first time, thank you for tuning in. And if you're returning, thanks for coming back. Hopefully you're getting something out of this. Please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share the podcast if possible. I'm at 111 subscribers, and I would love to get to 500 real quick, like quick as possible. So if you can subscribe to this show, share it with your friends. If you get anything out of it, that would be great. I also have a sponsor right now, and I'm going to go ahead and get that out the way. That could help fund this thing. Help me to, upgrade, do things better. And make the podcast look better. I'm going to upgrade all my equipment, of course. So if you have a chance, could you check out Big Fork Brands? They are a company out of Chicago. They sell bacon, sausages, and sauces. They look delicious. I'm going to run a quick video by them, and then we'll get started with the what we're talking about tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about AI. First of all, it's going to be the bulk of it, because there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of craziness out there, and I'm not sure if people are really tuning into what's going on. It's been a lot of talk about fear, a lot of fear of losing jobs and losing industries, and there's been a lot of layoffs. Those layoffs have not been successful. AI is not able to take over jobs in the numbers that they've been saying. I'm not sure that AI is able to take over anyone's job at this point. But they're going to scare you in order to keep investors. Because I remember a while back, the guy, the CEO of Uber, he made the comment of they were trying. Their biggest thing was to get rid of the person driving the car. That was their biggest expense. Didn't go over well because it was supposed to be a ride-sharing company, and the drivers were important because he just didn't see the drivers as important, and all he wanted to do was get up to scale, get rid of the drivers, and have the cars drive themselves. Uber still isn't doing that. It's doing way more. So a lot of times these tech guys talk about things they overpromise. You're supposed to underpromise, overdeliver. That's something that I learned in my career. I do work in IT. I also have my IT. My career has been in IT, and one thing that I've always been told and try to always do is to underpromise. Right? And over deliver, meaning that I know that I probably can get you this in I can get this to you it may take me a day or two, but I'm gonna say, yeah, I can get it probably by the end of the week. I can get this to you. right? And then I'm gonna get it to you in a day or two, right? Because if something happens, I may not be able to get it to you by the end of the week, but I definitely know I'm gonna get it to you in a day or two. So you always under promise, over deliver, but these guys, they just want the money up front, and that's basically what's going on. It's just the numbers, and a lot of people hear the numbers and they think that people, they're making this money. They're not making money. They're just moving money around. They're investing money, hoping to make money. They are getting paid money, but real money. But it's nothing. It doesn't really. It's not a profit. They're burning more money than they're making, and they're burning it at a fast clip, hoping that once it's all done in profit, and it's all done and they're in profit, they're going to be the ones to make the most money, right? But there are a lot of headwinds. There's a lot of skeptics out here. There's a lot of things that aren't adding up, and I just want to, if someone is watching this and doesn't really know what's going on, they hear the numbers. I just want to add my voice to I'm a skeptic. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm a skeptic of AI. I have used it. I've used it in my workflow for this podcast and the work that I do. Excuse me. I was asked to use it on a job I was just on. Use Copilot, which is trash. No one's using Copilot for Microsoft. And Microsoft, they did a big mistake when they did Windows 8. I don't know, you probably don't remember, but it was a big mistake. It was terrible. They changed too much, too fast, and it was terrible. It flopped. They had to go to 10 real quick, or 9, something like that. But it was really bad, and it didn't really get straightened out until it got to Windows 10. And they're doing it again. They're trying to force everyone to use Copilot, and they're now trying to rewrite everything where Copilot is what you interface with. So instead of interfacing with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you just work within Copilot, and it will create the document for you or create the spreadsheet for you instead of you just going to do it. Now, I don't know how it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I use Windows. I built my career on supporting Windows, and I've been through the bad, and this is one of the bad things. Like, people are actually, at this point, people have stopped using Windows, and they're choosing to use Linux because of just some tricks that they've been doing. They've been taking snapshots of your computer, storing it up. They had this little Copilot button that's supposed to automatically just bring up Copilot, and people are like, I don't want that. It's very intrusive if you ever see it. Like I use it on a job. I will never use it at home. I actually use Google Docs when I'm at home, or Google Workspace for myself. I ran my DJ business using Google Workspace and Google Docs, and never had a problem. And I wouldn't, if I had to, if I was bringing up a company right now, I wouldn't automatically I would choose Windows most likely. Or actually I would probably, see, they got this new Google, the Google Books. I think it's a Google Book. But I like Chrome. What is it called? Chromebooks. I have a Chromebook right here as I sit here and it monitors my chat and stuff. I use Chromebooks because I like them. They're quick, fast, and I don't need all that stuff on that. Most of the time when you're on the computer now, you're using the internet anyway. So Chromebooks are fast and they get the work done. Like, if I'm using this computer over here just to monitor the feed. Like, it's actually down into the feed. That's all it does. So why would I need a whole heavy laptop, a Windows laptop, just to do that, right? So for that purpose, I think a Chromebook is fine. And in a lot of companies, I work for AWS, they use Chromebooks actually on the desktop for their customer service, because they don't want them to be able to store data on the computer, so they can only work on up in the the cloud or the AWS cloud or Amazon cloud to support users, and it's a lot cheaper than giving them a whole Windows computer. So they would give them a desktop loaded with Chromium, and they would get their work done like that. So just the way things are happening, they're trying to shove it down our throats. Now I'm going to talk about the cost of it and how it's being rolled out. The way that it's being rolled out is they're giving it away right? They're giving it away, giving you a chance to get used to it. They don't really want to make money on these chatbots, such as like ChatGPT. Everyone uses. I've used it like once. I really don't like it. I've used Gemini. Until I caught Gemini was completely wrong on something. Gemini created an image for me one time for YouTube, and then it did it one time, and then the next time it couldn't do it. I'm like, that's not consistent. I could have did this myself. I'm just using Photoshop, so it's not consistent enough for me to use. And I was using the Frontier model. Frontier model is Gemini, the one that's hosted on the Google Cloud. So there's a Frontier model. Then you have the Edge models. Those are the LLMs that you can load locally. You can actually download an LLM, is what they call it, a large language model, and you can run that locally on your computer. I've done that too. It's slower. I have it running, but it does use a lot of resources. Like, you really do need to get like a Mac M5 Mac or something like that, with the GPU and the graphics processing, to be able to actually run it with any type of speed. It's slower. Like I said, it runs on my computer, and then I start having memory issues, and that's why I still have it loaded, using the old llama. But I'm not gonna, if I had to use it, I think the use case for it is, let's say you're doing a coding project, and you need to use using a tool like Claude or anything else that you're coding for you, and you had to go away, you couldn't be online, you're on a plane, something like that. You can use a local LLM for that, right? It'll be slower, but you can still continue to work. All right, hope that makes sense. So my sponsor, Big Fork Brands, check them out.
You've been hearing about all the negative news on hyper-processed food lately? I know the New York Times podcast, The Daily, was just talking about it. Well, here at Big Fork, we do things a little differently than the big food companies. Let's use our Kraft pork jerky, for example. Think of it as caveman jerky, where it's just dried and naturally smoked pork. Yeah, we add a little cane sugar, but that's just to balance out the sea salt. The sea salt's in there so it doesn't go bad. It's the natural preservative us humans have been using for thousands of years. So each bag of jerky contains only 100 calories and 11 grams of lean protein. The jerky is made in the USA, gluten-free and soy-free. Instead of supporting the big food companies owned by big tobacco, consider supporting small, family-owned companies like Big Fork, trying to do the right thing.
So Big Fork Brands, they sell the jerky from made out of pork. They also sell, let me get myself acclimated. They also sell, like I said, sausage. They make sausages made with bacon. It looks pretty good. They also have sauces. So their website is called bigforkbrands.com. You can go there, check them out. See something you like. I just barbecued today. I just grilled today. I grilled some ribs and I get some sausages. I should have had these. I grilled some sausages because I did grill like a couple weekends ago. It's already grilling season, and I didn't get to eat any. I just ate them and went to sleep. I was walking through the trees a little bit, and I went to sleep. I didn't get to eat, and I really luckily had some more ribs in the freezer, so I went ahead and cooked those. And then we had some sausages. Why does everything coming up? Then we had some sausages, and and then we got to cook those too. So everything came out well. I got to eat, and I'm enjoying this grilling season already. So if you go to bigbrandforks.com, use my code word ELEVATE, get 20% off, and try some Chicago style sauces and sausages with bacon. You can't go wrong with sausage and bacons. All right. So yeah, thanks a lot for taking care of that and helping me to support the show, support myself, and hopefully you find something useful in what I do. All right. So let's get started. So AI. So AI, like I said, it's been it's been in the news a lot, right? The big guys, Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and Meta, Jeffrey, what's his name? Zuckerberg, and the guy from Google. I forget his name, Sundar Pichai, I think. So these guys have all been telling us how AI is the next big thing, and the guy from Claude too, the next big thing, and they're building these data centers, and it's very expensive, and you hear about they're raising billions of dollars to build these data centers, and data centers are different data centers than the ones that we already know about. We know about data centers because basically, I was explaining it before, if you're in IT, they're basically where companies would house their servers. Instead of having server rooms, because we have such good data communications, telecommunications now, you don't have to have the server room in your building or right next to you. You can all put them in a location, let someone else worry about the air conditioning, the electricity, security, and you just run a nice data line to there, run two, have fault tolerance, and then you can just let that operate. So that's what data centers used to be, or just what they would house servers for other companies, or like Meta would build their own data center to house their servers for Facebook. Right? And they'll be all around the world because of fault tolerance, load balancing, things like that. Right? So, but now, because of AI and large language models, they have a new type of data center, and they're called hyperscaling data centers. So basically, those are data centers full of what's called GPUs, and that's in storage and memory, all that kind of good stuff. And they use a lot of electricity because they want to build these giant brains, right? What they do with those. I'm gonna try to put it in regular language. It's basically just scrape the entire internet and entire known. All the known information in the world. They want to just scrape it from the internet, take it from, watch all the movies in the world, all the TV shows, all the books, all our messages, all the email, all the government documents, everything, and put it in this gigantic thing that's called a large language model. And then use the GPUs to be able to use it to access it quickly, using prompts, right? Prompts are how you talk to a large language model. So basically, you type in something. What's the current temperature outside, or what's the chance of me winning $1 million? How can I win $1 million? It would answer you. It's a word calculator based on algorithms and the context of what you're writing. It would try to guess well, you can do it this way or that way, and it would just give you answers, right? And that's how it works, right? It's a word calculator. It guesses based on what you type, the best answer it can give you, and that takes a lot of processing power. And that's why they need all the electricity, because there's a bunch of GPUs running. This is for everyone in the world. So they're doing coding, they're doing images, they're creating AI videos, all at the same time, right? However many people need to access the data on that particular large language model or do work for them, it's all done from these hyperscaling data centers, right? The data centers they need to learn or train the LLMs, and then they need to host them for inference. Inference, meaning that they need to answer your questions, right? So they always need to learn, because basically when you do an LLM, you have to update it or do a new one because there's more information coming, right? So when they tell you that these LLM, these bots or these agents are going to be able to do all the work for you and be able to create the movies for you or do work and replace humans, so there's a problem. If you replace all the humans, then how are the language models, how are they going to continue to learn, right? Because there are no more humans. The AI is doing the work, so it's going to learn from itself. They're not alive. They don't really dream. They don't really think. They're not wondering, what can I eat tomorrow? Or maybe I should go on a vacation. Or how would it be? I've been wanting to go to Greece. I want to go there. And they're not going to go there and experience Greece and then maybe get inspired to write a book or open a company to help other people go to Greece, right? They don't do that. They just sit there and wait for you to ask it a question. They can't dream. They can't, you could give it prompts and have it come up with an image, but that image is based on images that were already created, right? It's not going to create a new, it can't create something from nothing. That's what I'm saying, right? You as a human being have experiences and you can create something from nothing because we think. They don't think, right? They answer, they respond. That's what they do. And it costs money. And how they charge for these using these large language models, they charge you using what's called tokens. Tokens are like words or parts of words or phrases. Basically, when you type, those are tokens. And then those are so many tokens. Then when it responds, those are so many tokens. So going back and forth is using tokens. So you aren't actually paying for that a lot of the times right now. A lot of times you're paying a monthly fee, and it's subsidized, meaning that they just want to get you hooked. They are like drug dealers. They are AI dealers. They want to get you hooked on it. Like some people tell me, there's one podcaster, a famous podcaster, who likes to call ChatGPT her boyfriend, meaning that she talks to it. And like I said, I do YouGov surveys, and it asks me, do I use AI for emotional support? No. It is I can read a book. I don't need to. If I need to ask a question, I'm asking to a person, and I'm gonna read a book, or I'm gonna search the web or find some books to read. I'm not gonna ask the large language model, and that's the problem I have with AI anyway. And Google wants to go to 100%. AI responses, meaning they don't want to show you links anymore. They just want to show you AI, and I think they'll have the links there. I had a problem with this from the very beginning because I like the links, because I want to know where the answers are coming from, right? Because if you give me a bunch of links, if I ask you, is there a God, right? And you give me you tell me, you go through these links, they'll probably say like, well, according to these people, blah, 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 right? But if I get links to those, I'll know exactly, I can see the author, who wrote it, I can see their bias, all that kind of stuff. If you just give me an answer, it's like walking up to a stranger and asking a stranger a question, and they give you the answer, and I should just take that answer as law, or as facts. That's not true. Right? That's not how it's done. You actually want to know where that person got the knowledge from. The person will tell you, oh, I'm this, I have these credentials, I have these experiences, and this is how it worked out for me. Right? You're not going to get that from AI. It's just going to tell you that, and it will be wrong. And it wants to give you an answer, so it may make the answer up, or it could be completely wrong. The first time you see a wrong answer on AI, it'll blow your mind. Like, wait a minute, you're wrong. And then the first time that I did come up with a wrong answer, I had to reason with it to get it to say, oh yeah, you're right. I'm learning. I'm like, okay, that's if I'm a grown person, I knew the answer already. And the question that I was asking wasn't for that answer. It gave me the answer as if it gave me that information as if it was the correct part of the answer, and it was wrong. And I had to reason with it to get it to realize that it was wrong. Because the first time I said you're wrong, they said, oh no, I'm right. So that's the problem, right? And then the whole hallucination thing is a problem. And the fact that if I tell it to make me a YouTube thumbnail and add these words to this image, and it does it one day, and then the next day it doesn't know how to do it at all. Like, you just did it yesterday, and I just asked you to do it and you did it. Why can't you remember how you did it yesterday? Why do I have to tell you again? So that's a problem, right? Because it doesn't learn. It doesn't learn. They say it'll get better as time goes by, but as you can see, really right now with the whole the data center thing, is that that's the other problem that we have, is that they need these huge, massive data centers to power it. Like, all of these different companies are building these data centers that take up a lot of electricity, and then also water. The heating is a problem. And like I said, you walk into a data center, it's cold in there. So if it's cold in there and there's thousands of servers, that's a lot of energy being used, and a lot of water being used to keep that cold. And if it's cold, they're burning a lot of money, right? hosting your servers in a co-location or data center is not cheap, but it's cheaper. It's cheaper than keeping your own server room. Let me say that. So what we're seeing right now is actually there's a reckoning coming. So when they say that, when they started this whole thing saying that, they're gonna all entry-level jobs are gonna be gone, which is not true. A lot of companies were firing people. A lot of people tried to replace their customer service with it. And the customers, so they said the quality went down because nobody wants to talk. You could tell when you're talking to AI, right? And it runs to the point where it can't give you a question. You just like, you're frustrated. Just give me a human. And they can't do it because you fired all the humans. So that's a problem. So that's what they're running into. The coding isn't that good. There's a lot of AI slop. And then the cost. This is the big problem. And this is what I don't think they're telling people, is that the cost is because they started out subsidized and they got to figure out a way to make money, and they're borrowing billions of dollars to build these data centers. They have to make money, and they can't just keep subsidizing your use. The tokens, you got to pay for that. So now that they're starting to actually pay for the tokens, people are like, oh, wait a minute. It actually may be cheaper for me to keep paying for humans, because this may be more expensive. And I'm going to show you some examples of companies, large companies, that have really messed up because they've been forcing their people, their software developers, their coders, to use AI. The whole company, they've been putting up leaderboards and tying their increases and their merit-based, their, what's the one we use? Their performance reviews to how much AI they use, right? And because it was been subsidized, and then the companies can't keep taking the losses. They have to make money sometime. The real cost of using these tokens have been going through the roof. And I'm gonna takes me to my first video. Check it out. It's amazing.
A new report says some companies are starting to question their AI spending. And this story shows exactly why. An unnamed company reportedly spent $500 million on Claude AI in just 1 month after failing to set usage limits for employees. The report says AI costs keep climbing, raising concerns about whether massive investments are actually paying off. And this isn't the only case. We've already seen companies rack up huge cloud and AI bills from unexpected usage. That's the kind of bill that makes companies rethink how they're using AI.
So that story came out actually this week. A company, so they've been doing what's called token maxing. I said they've been tying their each employee's performance to how much AI they use, right? So they went out and encouraged the entire company to use AI, and we're watching you, and we need you to use it as much as possible, because they're trying to get the ROI. Like, how much are we going to see a bump in productivity by forcing our people to use AI or having our people use AI? And the problem with that, though, is AI learns, and you can be teaching your AI to do your job. I have more on that in a minute. So basically, this happened this month. A company, token maxing, that's a word we hear a lot, or a phrase we hear a lot, and they didn't set limits, as if like, you're supposed to run out of tokens, right? You should have a set limit of that you can use per day, because if you don't watch it, you could go up $500 million in a month. Did they cure cancer? No, we still haven't cured the cancer. So whatever they were doing wasn't really worth it. I don't know. Maybe it was worth it. I don't know. They haven't named the company yet. So I really want to know the company that spent $500 million in 1 month, and was it worth it? Because they didn't set limit. Obviously, it wasn't worth it because they didn't solve cancer. So that's just one thing to watch on. That's one thing to watch with AI, the cost, right? Because now a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this is going to cost a lot more," and it may be actually cheaper to use people. Now, what I want to say about that is AI can be useful, right? But I think because we're in a capitalistic society and everybody wants that next boom, like, Elon Musk, Sam Altman, they want to be the next billionaires, or actually they are already billionaires, but they want more. It's never enough. They want more, and they want to get the most market share. So they're racing. They're not stopping to actually think, is this what we should be doing, or if it would be the best way to implement AI. They're just going ahead and doing it, and then they're not charging people the money. But then when people make an accident like this and don't set limits, they end up with a $500 million bill, and they're wondering, like, what did we get for that $500 million? Because they wouldn't have spent it if they didn't have to use AI. They might have produced the same amount of code that they should have used. The developers might have met the deliverables, but now they have a bill of $500 million. You got to look at what did we get for that? Did we get the money with it? And here's the problem. Another problem with it. As a company that I was with told us just to use AI, just ask it a question every day. Like, we didn't really have a need for it. It was on a service desk. We didn't even have a need for it. They were just encouraging us to use it for whatever reason. So a lot of people could just be going in there and using it for health advice or stuff like that. And they still got to pay for it, right? Because it's still using tokens. The chat, GPT, all the little chat boxes and the chat bots, they still use tokens too, right? So that $500 million could have included just people asking for recipes, or what's the best way to set a table, or what's the best time to take a vacation, right? They pay for all that. So is that the way to go? Did that make sense? Right? So I'm going to keep on that vein and keep just talking about just show you this is their real world. I'm not sure if you actually see this in the mainstream news. I don't know if you actually see these things that are happening, but here's another instance of companies that have tried to implement AI and it didn't work at this time. Now there may be other times that they get it right, but this is all going to cost money. And then if you work in IT, you try a lot of things and they don't always work. Right? There are projects you start, they don't work. You got to try it again. And then sometimes they'd be like, you know what? We're not going to do that. So here's the second video. These are companies that implemented AI, big companies, and it didn't work out right.
Major global companies that aggressively adopted AI-driven operational systems are now facing a harsh reality check. Artificial intelligence is not only inefficient, but is also way more expensive than humans. Now, these same companies want humans to clean up the mess. From Starbucks to Microsoft, from Uber to Pizza Hut, major companies are now facing growing questions around whether the AI boom was overhyped, overpriced, and rolled out far too fast with a blind trust. Let's start with Starbucks. The coffee giant recently retired its AI-powered automated counting tool after employees reported serious inventory problems. The system was supposed to modernize stock management using computer vision. Instead, it reportedly miscounted inventory, mislabeled products, and even caused shortages. Starbucks eventually had to return to human-led inventory management and has officially scrapped its AI-powered inventory system across North American stores after just 9 months. Now coming to Pizza Hut. One of the chain's largest franchisees, Chack Pizza Northeast, filed a lawsuit accusing Pizza Hut of forcing them to adopt an AI-powered delivery platform called Dragontail. The franchise claims the AI delivery system increased delivery times, hurt customer satisfaction, and caused losses exceeding $100 million. Before the AI system was pitched, Chack Pizza Northeast was crushing it with sales growth in double digits and excellent customer satisfaction scores. The chain runs 111 Pizza Hut restaurants across New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. Then the company mandated this so-called cutting-edge AI system called Dragontail, which was originally designed for in-house delivery fleets only. Year-on-year sales growth flipped almost overnight. Now Chack is seeking $100 million in damages for lost revenue, lost profits, business interruption, and damage to goodwill. Now let's move to Microsoft. According to reports from The Verge, Microsoft has started canceling most of its direct Claude Code licenses just 6 months after encouraging thousands of employees to adopt the AI coding assistant. Engineers, designers, project managers, many had to rapidly integrate AI into their workflows. But now Microsoft is reportedly redirecting employees toward GitHub Copilot CLI instead. And the reason highlights a growing industry problem. AI usage itself is becoming extremely expensive. This is because large language models charge companies based on token usage, essentially how much text the AI processes and generates. So the more employees use AI, the more costs explode. Uber faced something similar. Uber CTO Praveen Nepali-Naga reportedly revealed earlier this year that the company burned through its entire 2026 AI coding tools budget within just 4 months. And this happened while Uber itself was actively encouraging employees to use more AI through internal leaderboards ranking teams by AI usage. Other tech companies reportedly pushed this culture even further. Amazon encouraged workers to token max, meaning maximize AI token usage. At Meta, an employee even built an internal tracking system called Claudeonomics to monitor which employees were using the most AI. But now the economics are starting to look shaky. Goldman Sachs has forecast that advanced AI systems could increase enterprise token consumption by 24 times by 2030. And one of the clearest admissions came from inside NVIDIA itself. Brian Catanzaro, NVIDIA's vice president of applied deep learning, said in an interview with Axios that for his team, the cost of AI compute is now far higher than employee costs. Think about that for a second. One of the world's biggest AI companies openly admitting that AI infrastructure itself is becoming more expensive than the humans it was supposed to replace. Even Duolingo recently had to reverse an internal policy that linked employee performance reviews to AI usage metrics. Reports said staff felt pressured to use AI tools, even when those tools were not actually improving their work. Now, this does not mean AI has started collapsing just yet. Many companies are still investing heavily in it. Starbucks itself continues using other AI systems like SmartQ and Green Dot Assist. And companies like Chipotle are using AI more subtly for customer personalization rather than full automation. But what is changing is the blind hype. The early AI race was driven by promises of instant efficiency, massive cost cutting, and fewer human workers. Now the reality is looking more complicated. Integration problems, hallucinations, rising compute costs, workflow mismatches, and the simple fact that humans still need to supervise everything. And after years of aggressive AI evangelism, businesses are now being forced to ask the most important question of all. Is the return on investment actually worth it? Do you think the world rushed too blindly into the AI race? Tell us in the comments.
And so the takeaway for that is AI is a tool, right? I think AI is a tool and it can be used as a tool. The problem with what's happening now is that so many people are just rushing in and trying to, replace everyone with AI. It's just not going to work, and the cost of it. And then the other side of it is the data centers, right? They're constantly saying they need these data centers, and they're building data centers everywhere. So my belief is that these data centers aren't actually for data centers are not for really enterprise use. They're for government use. Like the information that they want to really house, and this all ties together with everything that's happening right now, is they want to be able to monitor people everywhere all the time. So because of the size of these data centers, some of these data centers are huge, especially when they're trying to build the Kevin O'Leary one. They're huge, and the ones they already have are huge, and they're already causing problems in a lot of neighborhoods and communities, states, and they're fighting for the electricity. They're affecting the water, and then they're building them in areas that don't have transmission lines, meaning that the power isn't even there yet. They're having to build the power lines to get the electricity there. So in the meantime, they're using diesel generators, gas turbines, and they're just spewing a lot of greenhouse gases in the air. Now, this is something, and here's the thing about it, though. These data centers may not pay off. Right? We're already seeing that there's a problem with the cost of using AI, and they're still moving ahead with borrowing all this money to build these data centers. The data centers haven't been built, right? And there's already a problem with the cost that are being associated with using AI or implementing AI in a lot of these companies. So, but the money is already coming in, and they're already building it. They may not get built, and the people are already having problems with having the data centers in their communities because they see what's happening. They see that the air is getting bad. They see that the hum. If you ever been around one, you will hear it. The hum, the noise pollution, and they see the temperature, and then the toxins from burning the generators. The generators down in Texas was a problem because they weren't supposed to have that many. Elon Musk just went ahead and just used more than he had permits for because he's Elon Musk. He doesn't have to follow laws, right? So a lot of communities are really coming against data centers now. According to what the people that are trying to sell us AI, because they're the people that are excited about AI, the people that sell AI, they're telling us that we need it and they have to be there. But there's a problem with them because people don't want them in their community, including my community. I don't want them here, and I know where they are. I've been in them. I've seen them. But these new ones are different. They're not the same. They use a lot more electricity and they use a lot more water, and they aren't really coming up with solutions that are going to work for the long term. Unlike China, who is working on solutions that are long term. They're going slower. They're using open models. They aren't going for profit. That's what's going on in this country. They're moving fast and don't really care about the damage and don't really care about the people buying into it. And there aren't really proof. Like when you saw was that Starbucks and Pizza Hut implemented and lost, right? Did they actually, like, I've been in companies when they forced me to do things, I'm like, this is dumb. I remember one company I worked for, I started to work for them. I was a senior. And I went in there and they had already decided on a particular type of laptop, right? And I went in there, I said, how did they make this choice? And I'm like, okay, they were implementing it, they were trying to give it to high-end users, power users, right? Who actually would probably have downtime for using a new laptop that no one else has in the company, not even us. We weren't using a laptop, so it was a poor implementation, and it looked badly. And I had to support it for a while until it didn't work, and then I had to come up with doing it the right way. So a lot of people, management would just come up with ideas and start doing stuff, and not talk to the people. Like, AI is a tool; it's not an answer. You just can't turn it on and have it do what it needs to do. And there's a lot more issues with security, a lot of things like that are really coming down the pike. But these data centers are what we're going to deal with next. This is going to be about data centers.
Sit down. Stop that. You were arrested here. I want my water here. I want to be able to drink water in this table.
You can sit down. But I want it to be clear. This meeting was never designed to discuss the data center approval.
No, you guys
Because the city council went through the procedure and approved that in January of 2025. It was advertised in the paper. We had public meetings. About 6 people showed up.
6 people.
And that was it.
Y'all have no record of the original approval, though.
We can't help you do your research.
Do your research.
May I suggest y'all have a town hall and bring people that actually know about data centers and crap code mining in here to tell us about it, instead of taking the word of nefarious companies that have allegedly been involved in illegal activity here and overseas.
We looked into the water infrastructure for this.
Where's the documentation? Because I filed at FOIA and I was told it was all lost to a flood.
How is it fair? You're using the word fair really loosely, because fair means that you would have given us a chance before, and fair is that you give us a chance now. We all have lives just like everyone else. We've rescheduled things, we've missed things. To be here.
Is the council willing to be transparent and provide us with the original documentation of the approval process? Because if y'all don't have that, how can we be sure that that conditional variance y'all did in 2025 is even legal? Because the original permissible purpose was for a multi-tenant industrial park. Y'all's minutes are vague and says nothing to the nature of what was discussed.
And see, this is happening. This is how it's going to be happening across the country. Like, these days, January 2025 is when this was approved, right? what did you know about AI in 2025? That's when they first started talking about jobs. And all of a sudden, people in these communities are waking up, and they're waking up, and it's like, wait a minute, they're just clearing all the farmland, right? Or they're waking up, and like one community woke up, and the water pressure was gone, and they were telling people to preserve their water, and they found out that the data center just built in extra intakes and was just taking all the water. You see what I'm saying? So that's another thing that's going to start happening more and more. Communities are going to start pushing back because these little town councils approved it, and he said only 6 people showed up because they didn't know what it was. They were talking about data center. They may have thought they were talking about a Walmart. You know what I'm saying? Like a Walmart or something else. They didn't understand that they were talking about something that was going to take the equivalent amount of power of what it takes to power their homes, and then their bills are going to jump up to double, triple. I saw one estimate that everybody can really count on adding an extra $300 a year to their bills because of data centers. You know what I'm saying? So the benefit of for us is going to be like, we don't know, right? The benefit for the billionaires, Sam Altman, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, they get the money, right? We get the bill. And then we get to lose our job, supposedly. We don't know if that's going to happen. I don't even know why they said that. It doesn't make any sense to tell people this product is going to take your job. It doesn't make any sense because if everybody doesn't have a job, who's going to need the data center? So yeah, this is going to happen more and more. The next video, I'm going to show you about the data center down in Texas and what's going on with that and what happens around the data center. Because these are massive megawatts of power. Imagine New York. How you have in New York, right? The amount of electricity that's used to power all the homes in New York City, right? And then imagine building a data center next to it that needs the same amount of power, and that power is 24 hours a day, 347 days a year. But also no power generation, meaning that now everyone has to pay more for power because that data center needs the power, same amount of power that all the people do. That's what's happening. And they aren't really telling us that, right? They're just forcing it down our throats for something that may not actually pay off. And there's a lot of high level scientists that don't believe that this is the way you should be implementing LLMs, and it's going to reach a limit. And that's when you come up with the hallucinations.
Stargate is one of the most ambitious and powerful AI data centers ever built.
This is
really
Texas,
hard to get a
Elon's.
sense of actually how much energy is pulsing through these facilities. And so that's why we've started to incorporate a thermal drone to really try to get a sense of what is actually happening at these facilities.
We're driving around and we still haven't gotten a clear look at this place. And I think that's why the aerial view is going to be key to figuring out what's going on here.
Our thermal drone is just one part of our reporting process. We still heavily rely on more traditional forms of investigative journalism, mainly public records requests. So we often use a combination of public records requests and innovative things like thermal imaging to really get a sense of what exactly is happening at these facilities. All right, so this is what it looks like in a standard drone shot, but watch what happens when I switch to thermal.
Wow.
It's important to note that it's not showing us the specific pollutants or specific gases that are emitted by these turbines, but just by showing us that heat signature, we know that pollution is happening at this site.
Gas turbines like these are essentially jet engines that generate electricity. And they emit a lot of greenhouse gases and harmful air pollution, which is linked to asthma, heart attacks, and even premature death. The day we filmed, Stargate was only operating one of the 10 turbines that it has on site. But it eventually plans to have more than 50 of these turbines powering its operations here.
It's absolutely shocking to see that invisible pollution made visible like this. This is incredible. So how can you tell if a facility like this is following the law?
Well, we're going to take these images to a series of experts to really make sure that we understand what we're looking at, but you'd be surprised what I've found in the past.
Evan's investigation previously took him to South Haven, Mississippi, another community being impacted by a giant new hyperscale AI data center, xAI's Colossus, which helps power their chatbot, Grok.
In this drive for speed, this race for AI dominance, Elon Musk and xAI parked these massive turbines on tractor trailers to power their operations. They then argued that these were temporary power sources and therefore did not require state or federal permits to operate. That is really out of step with long-standing EPA policy that turbines like these, which are major pollution sources, require permits regardless of whether or not they're considered temporary or not. As soon as the drone rose above the tree line, I could see that a number of these turbines were emitting very, very strong heat signatures, at least a dozen. And it seemed to me very obviously that these turbines were operating.
That is crazy.
Stargate is one of the most ambitious and powerful AI data centers.
Okay, sorry about that. Let it loop. Sorry about that. So that's just an idea of what's coming. Because I learned something new. Because the first one was Stargate. That was Elon Musk's one for Grok. I know he had one in Mississippi too. And that's another thing. They are putting these in poor neighborhoods, poor towns that can't really fight back. And so when towns are finding out, like you saw in Georgia, that this was approved and no one knew about it, and it's going to come in and do all these things and take all our water. Like in Tahoe, they told the people that you're not going to have electricity because they bought it all. It's going to go all to the data center down there, and that's what they're doing. And the towns don't have the ability to fight back because they don't know. And then, but they have a plan to. If you fight back, they have a plan for that too. And remember, the thing that I really want you to understand is that this all may not happen. This could all crash tomorrow because it's a bubble, right? They may not, because they aren't really making enough money to justify this, right? They're hoping that they get enough money to justify it. So that's another thing. So when they're doing all this damage, doing all this construction, you could end up with a site that they just abandoned. And it's farmland. They're buying farmland. They're buying recreation land near lakes. And it looks like it's nothing supposed to be there. Parkland, whatever they can get their hands on, they're going to buy it and try to build something there. So this is how they're actually, this is their plan, to just ignore public will. These towns, because these are all small towns, maybe not sophisticated, not very powerful, not very rich. And their plan is to just run over whatever you want, or your wishes, because you're not going to have enough money. They're billionaires. You're not going to have the money to actually fight them.
Sam Altman said he knows exactly how to push AI data centers into these communities, and it's exactly what I told you it was going to be. Sam Altman said the barn going up in Saline, it could be a real template for how we engage with future communities. And I literally got on here and I told you, they're going to follow this same template. If any town says no to AI data centers being built in their communities, all they're going to do is sue. They're going to sue the town that says no to them, and they're going to build it anyways. They have enough money. They're going to continue to subvert the will of the people because they know people like Gretchen Whitmer exist, that they don't care about their constituents, that she'll hide her face in the White House and then sit on the stage and smile as a community gets absolutely decimated. And then she'll smile for the photo op and break ground on it too. This is the same Sam Altman who said that this site in Saline is where cancer gets cured. No, it's where cancer gets caused because you're going to poison the people of Saline. And they know it. They just don't care because this is their playbook and they're going to follow it every single time.
That's why you hear people say that billionaires shouldn't exist, because once they get that amount of money, they think they just can do what they want to do. There's a joke a long time ago about a person who was rich, who just rides around town in their car and they just park the car anywhere. And if it gets towed, they don't care. It's just a ticket to them. If they go in the store and just take stuff out, they don't care because they'll just pay the fine or do anything. They don't care because they just can pay it. They have enough money, and this is the same thing. They're saying that if you don't want the data center, that's fine. We'll just sue you. We're gonna get our data center there. They're just going. I think it's with Kevin O'Leary. He's trying to build a huge one, and they're fighting him tooth and nail. And he's trying to build it there. I think it's in Phoenix or someplace like that. But it is a huge one. But I just want you to remember that this stuff may not pay off. It may not actually happen. That's the thing, that they're putting the cart before the horse, because it may not pay off. If one company spent $500 million in a month by accident, they're probably not going to do it. And I'm going to tell you this. I've turned my AI off, right? Like so since Google deciding they're going to use Gemini for everything, for all search, I just removed Google search. I now use DuckDuckGo because I don't want to use AI. I don't need it. You know what I mean? I don't need it for the most part. I do pay for like some services that use AI. Like if you, there are services that will cut your video up into clips for you and give you the transcript in writing. That's helpful, right? But that's not expensive. I'm not paying for it either. I've found services that will do it for free instead of me paying for it. And I probably could put it through a local LLM, but it's not really that important for me. Right? People are going to start figuring out ways to not pay this money, but the infrastructure is going to still be there. But they're thinking they're not going to actually lose money, and that's why you hear the AI bubble. Now, I'm going to play a video from one of the most well-known AI skeptics, Zitron. I do recommend, if you really want to keep track of what's happening with AI, that you do find some good people to follow and watch on like YouTube and watch how they talk about it and analyze the market and what's really happening. As Zitron is one of the most well-known skeptics because he got onto it early about the way they're financing it, and because people hear the money, right? They hear a funding round, and they were able to raise $60 billion. They hear about the swaps. They're counting, like let's say Nvidia will give somebody some chips and then they're going to pay for it later. They'll count that as money now, and they actually haven't got any money when they're just swapping money, and they'll put that on the books as actual income, revenue, but it's not really revenue. It's a lot of tricks going on with this because there's a lot of money to get this done because they believe that this is the answer. And they want to make sure that they're in place to get the most market share. Now, the reason that they're sort of doing this is because there's no more big ideas, right? The Elon Musk evaluation, trying to get $1.something trillion for stuff that people do. He only makes money from Starlink. He doesn't make money from SpaceX. The whole thing is crazy because they're really talking crazy. So I do your research. Do your research and just don't buy into it. Like I'm saying, don't be dumb and don't really learn what it is. I've learned a lot. I took the time to learn what AI was and how it worked, and how if I had to implement it, I could implement it locally. I could invest into computers, $5,000-$6,000, buy a local. Well, maybe sorry, that's not right. Maybe $10,000 or $20,000 into a local box and run it locally for a company. I don't have to pay them, but I will need to pay for the LLM, the training. But there is ways to get around the recurring costs, but there will be some upfront costs. There's some different ways to do it. But the problem is, if the government, OpenAI started as a nonprofit, right? And it was open source. It's supposed to be a nonprofit, open source. But once he saw the ability to make real money, that's when they started to turn it into profit. China is just doing open source. I kind of want to watch them more than I want to watch these guys, because these guys are about going for the money. So I recommend this guy, Zitron. He really has a good way of looking at it, and has a long record, or a long, he's been looking at it for a while. So if you really want to learn something, follow this guy.
There is this thing, the SaaS apocalypse, that's saying, okay, AI is going to replace software, and this is the dumbest idea in the world. What they're saying is, okay, because you can write code with AI, because whether or not it's functional is kind of up for question. Because you can build software with AI, you can replace Salesforce, Intuit, CrowdStrike, whatever software you pay for, with your own software that you build. I've seen very, very smart people otherwise say this, and I need to be clear, this is an insane idea. It's like building a big Lego set and saying, wow, I could build a house. I don't need to rent anymore. I'll just go outside and build a house. It's that simple. Software as it's sold is not just sold as the software itself. It's not just the IP. It's the data. It's the structure. It's the support. It's the keeping it bug free. And it's the ability to accommodate more staff as you grow. There are massive infrastructural sides of software. But anyway, this is the only thing they have to sell, and they've let this propagate because the market was ready to accept this. The market was saying, well, software stocks haven't been growing and revenues have been slowing in software. It must be AI. Now, the reason I've jumped over to this is it gets back to the idea of no more hypergrowth. It is because the software industry has a dark secret that they want to hide. We are at the end of hypergrowth. We are not Google, Microsoft, Meta is Amazon. They don't have another iPhone. They don't have another cloud computing. It's not quantum either. They don't have a next big thing. Adobe, terrible company, software company. They don't have a next big thing. None of them have a next big thing. And their growth has been slowing. 2018 was really the watershed moment where things started to slow down. People don't realize that anytime you read the AI software story, you are reading someone trying to hide that software is dying. That the software industry, well, dying is probably the wrong word. Software is no longer this perpetual growth machine. AI is not changing that. AI is not making it worse either. They all thought that adding AI would actually fix the problem. No, it's kind of punted it a little bit. It's led to stocks getting cut down. I mean, every time Anthropic claims they've launched a plugin, someone's stock dumps. So this is all a very messy way to say that AI bubble, SaaSpocalypse, all of that is a symptom of a greater problem, which is tech is slowing down. Tech has been slowing down for a while. Why else would we be talking about goddamn semiconductors so much? Why are we talking about, but what do you like? Oh, why are you pretending you care about high bandwidth RAM? You don't know. You know what that meant 2 years ago. Stop talking about it now. It's kind of like all the people who suddenly became Strait of Hormuz experts. Suddenly everyone's a semiconductors expert. Everyone's trying to get away from thinking about the very dark, very sad thing, which is the markets are dependent on software. They need software to keep growing. It's not. And it's not coming back. We are in a post-growth software economy. They'll keep growing here and there. It's not over yet, but it's coming. It's coming fast. It's almost the inverse of the dot-com bubble.
Sorry. So what he's saying there is like basically this whole capitalism thing that we have is built on growth, right? It has to keep growing because they need to make new billionaires. They need to make money because the people that are billionaires now are not going to give them their money. They're going to hold on to it. So they mean they need to grow. They need to make new billionaires instead of just everybody working together. And there's no more new ideas. And this is the new idea. And that's why they are pressing it so hard. And the way they want to implement it, it takes data centers. It takes electricity. It takes water. Something that we need too as people. But they don't want to do that. One of the stories I heard just today, Meta, and I just heard this just before I came on. Meta had a breach of some accounts, like for Barack Obama's old Meta account was broken into. And the way they did it was Meta is using AI. I want to find the link for the story. I might save it. But Meta is using AI for customer support. So the person went and said, "Hey, because there's something called prompt injection. Basically, you could be prompting. You can write your prompts to get your answers and get AI to do things. But if someone can insert something into the prompt or insert a line into the prompt, then it will do something else. So basically, the person told, how you get your password? You say send it to or send a code to this or temporary password to this email or text me this code to this address or to this text number. They just said send it to this number, and it did it. The AI just did that. You know what I mean? It didn't question it. It just did what it was asked to do. Now, us as a human, I worked in IT, and I was the one who would change your password. If we did that, we get fired. You know what I'm saying? Because we had to go through checks. Like I work for AWS, entire worldwide company. We would get people from South Africa, Ireland, India, UAE, Dubai, everywhere, all over the world. At all times, the Philippines, they were nice people. The Philippines, just all over the world. At any given time, we would get calls, and we had to make sure that person was 100% them. And if we ever made a mistake, and gave a password out to somebody who wasn't them, you'd be fired right away because you didn't follow protocol. If you followed the protocol, if you followed the procedures to verify the identity 100%, you would never ever give out the wrong password. And that's what happened here. AI just said, okay, and sent it to the new email address. You're not supposed to be able to do that. You ever had a password change? You ever need to change a password and it was going to an old email address? I'm having that problem right now. and it was going to an old email address, and then you couldn't change it because you no longer have that email address, or you no longer have that phone number. Then you have to verify yourself with the driver license, all that stuff. That's what we had to do. We had to make sure 100% that you were you before we could actually change the password. And that's what Meta put in place in their customer service and in their rush to prove that AI can replace people. All right, so we're going to switch gears. AI, like I said, AI, I'm going to probably talk about it some more. But I can't. I gotta talk about the politics right now. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit. We're gonna go back to politics because there's a lot happening. There's a lot happening, and we must talk about it. We must keep our eye on it because at any given time, this all could be over. I'm telling you, at any given time, this all could be over. And it is coming from places that we would not suspect. It is interesting that all this is coming out about the Israeli-American relationship, and we are learning a lot about Zionism, Christian Zionists, and Jewish Zionists, and the fact that they have this hard-on for Israelis, and they believe that they are the people. I heard a speech from Mike Huckabee today. That was scary. He worships Israelis. He worships Israelis more than he worshipped them over Americans. He puts Israel over America. In that speech that he gave, go look it up. It was at a commencement speech, right? He believes that we're here to serve them, that they have a purpose that's over all of us, and they're the only ones that can do it. I don't know where he gets it from. It's not in the Bible. I used to be a Christian. It's not in the Bible. I don't know where he gets it from. The chosen people. They were chosen people. They were crazy people in the desert. In the Old Testament. If you read the Old Testament, those stories are crazy, and those are the people, right? But what's really crazy is the Israelis aren't the people in the Bible. They're another people. They're European Jews. They were put in Israel. They're put in Palestine. I'm sorry, not Israel. Palestine, and now they want to call it Israel. And here's the problem. That's been a problem. They're trying to rewrite history and have everybody believe it. But it's more than that, though. So I'm going to show you an AIPAC Democrat, right? Remember, I got this up here, Track AIPAC, votelog.org. You should be checking your candidates' records on how they stand against one of the most essential threats that I've ever seen in my life, right? I've worried about the wars we've been through with Iraq. I remember the hostage situation with Iran back in the day. But we didn't really discuss why that happened, but now we know why it happened. And we know why Iran has been treated the way they've been treated, and why they want to get out from under everyone's foot, and why they won't let them, because they don't give a fuck about America or Israel. And that's a problem, because why should they? We haven't treated them well. So there is a certain type of Democrat right now, and they are AIPAC Democrats. They get a lot of money. Israel spends an amazing amount of money on our elections, as I've always said. And when an AIPAC Democrat is confronted with something, this is the look you get.
What are you talking about right now? You're in the government? This is a stain on our history. And it feels like it's changed what being Jewish is. Because what being Jewish is isn't Israel. Judaism has existed for 4,000 years. This is a country for 75 years. I lived there when I was 18, and I grew up a Zionist. And we were told, and our whole community in this country is told, that we have to defend Israel and love Israel because it'll stop the Holocaust. It will stop another Holocaust from happening. And I went to a settlement at the end of my year there, and I looked down a hill at a Palestinian village, and I saw how they lived, and I turned back and I looked at the settlement and saw how they lived. And people live in a world where they're demeaned and dehumanized and surveilled constantly by people and this isn't in Gaza, by people in SWAT team outfits with semi-automatic weapons, and that's what the world is seeing. And you keep telling me that the problem is someone's getting yelled at a restaurant? I'm sorry.
You're conflating two different issues.
Please.
But you're suggesting that.
Okay, stop right there.
It is the policy.
Okay, so you see how much he got, right? He's an AIPAC Democrat. $1 million. I notice the more money they get, the more they look at his smile and look at his eyes. His eyes, he doesn't care about anything the guy just said. And then here comes his response.
Of the Israeli government to murder civilians, and that is a notion that I reject.
You gotta listen, man. You gotta be like a human being about this.
I think you have an agenda to speak about this.
I didn't have an agenda.
I really did.
It's your number one topic.
It's not my number one topic. It's just not.
It is.
So yeah, I don't know who he was. I don't care who he was. He was an AIPAC Democrat. You can find him on Track AIPAC, I'm sure. So there are a lot of them. So you see the thing he says, "I was set up." You hear that a lot when they confront it. He was talking to someone that was from Israel that rejected the Zionist message and the Zionist practices, and he was telling them that they do kill civilians. But an AIPAC, the guy who's never been to Israel, got $1 million from Israel and got elected, never been there, he's telling him, no, that's not, I reject that. That don't happen. That's what we're dealing with these Democrats. That's what we're dealing with these Republicans, with these politicians. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who will just reject their eyes, what they see, because they don't want to believe it, because they're going to cut the money. They're going to cut the money off, and that's the scary thing about where we are right now with these Democrats, because if they don't really care if they lose, they're okay with what's happening right now because they still get money, right? They still get money. That money that $1 million, you think he didn't get any of that? Or get that good job? If you're a congressman, you don't have to work that hard. Be for real. There's a congressman right now been missing for 3 months. He's still getting paid. You don't even know where he at. But he's still running for office. But he hasn't been seen in 3 months. But he's still getting paid. You can do that. You can only do that with the government. Not a government job. I'm sorry. For elected official. How does that happen? So I just wanted to show what a corporate Democrat, a corporate AIPAC Democrat looks like, and then I'm gonna show you what a real progressive Democrat looks like.
What are you talking about right now?
Right here.
Thomas Massey and I are teaming up again to remove Section 224 from our defense bill. Section 224 is a first step in integrating our military with Israel's military. I'm a senior member of the Armed Services Committee, and I will be introducing an amendment to remove Section 224. Basically, the establishment has figured out that direct aid to Israel is unpopular, so they want to do an end run around the foreign sales process. The foreign sales at least requires a commitment to upholding human rights. Under this section, you would have a fusion of the United States and Israel military, so there's no human rights test and no vote on aid. We need to strip Section 224.
So that's Ro Khanna, right? I pray Ro Khanna a lot because Ro Khanna, he's about business, right? He's about getting things done. So the 224, I've talked about it on maybe last show or when I've talked about it. Basically, like he said, it's trying to integrate our military with Israel's military. Israel's not a member of NATO. Israel doesn't sign the nuclear proliferation, whatever that was, pact. Non-nuclear proliferation pact. Maybe that's it. They didn't sign that. They're not a member of that. They don't even admit they have nuclear weapons, and they do. So it's like, why would we? And when you watch like the Israel parade and Chuck Schumer was there, Chuck Schumer works for Israel. He doesn't work for you. Whoever voted for him, I guess if you're Israel and you're New York, and you're Israel or Zionist in New York, you voted for him, you're getting your money's worth. But for all the other New Yorkers, you're not. That's why they're mad at Mandami, because he is getting stuff done And he doesn't listen to that crap. He does what he said he promised to do. Work for the people. He's working for the people. That's what Ro Khanna, he has a clear conscience. He can go ahead and say, you know what? I'm going to get that thrown out. That's wrong. I'm going to get that thrown out. I'm going to come against it. Because they slid it in there. A Texas Republican, AIPAC Republican, slid that in the bill because they see that, Israel is becoming very unpopular, but they still want to have a way to get them the weapons, the information, and the money they need. So why not integrate our militaries? It's not for us, right? Because I haven't ever heard anyone say, man, you know what will really help us a lot? We need to integrate our military with Israel, right? Now, in the past, there has been a lot of integration or police forces going to Israel for training, right? And I remember this. If you live in D.C., I remember what that fat police chief was. His name was. I forget what it was. But he went to Israel. They went to Israel for training, and they came back with that, leaving the lights on all the time. So in D.C., I don't know if they still did it. But back in the day, all the police cars in D.C. will always have their lights on, the top lights on all the time. They got that from Israel. Right? So you always know they're in the neighborhood. They will always have the lights on. That's when crime was really bad. City under siege days. I call it city under siege days because they used to have a program every night because people were dying out here because of crack. But they learned that from Israel. So we send our police forces over to Israel to learn how to police occupied areas. Now, what are they learning? And then we find out also that ICE has IDF in their ranks. I don't know if they're retired IDF loans, but they are getting trained from Israeli IDFs. That's why that's why they're so brutal and stuff like that. They're learning right from them, and they actually are probably doing it too. A lot of people have to go to jail when this is all done, because but I try to play it off. I do actually. It does affect me at times. I do get down when I think about it. What's happening in the detention centers, and then what's happening outside the detention centers. They're beating up people, and I played that last week in New Jersey. That mayor is a Democrat, is a corporate Democrat. The mayor who got it, governor, and the governor, and we're finding out that the governor in Virginia, she used to work for CIA. She's also a corporate Democrat because she's doing things everybody's saying like, what? She's vetoing bills that were passed for unions, and she's vetoing it. That doesn't seem like a Democrat, does it? So, and everybody was happy for it though, right? Because they thought she was going to get there and get the gerrymandering done, because to counteract the other gerrymandering that are done by the red states. But then they found out she's vetoing legislations to help unions because they don't care about the money. I think I have a video about that too. They don't care about the money or what happens really, because that's what it is. They don't really want to support progressive candidates. You see this in New York with Mondami, because he's coming up against fighting the slumlords, right? He's also now building housing for people, things he promised, and they don't want to see that because they were making money off having people live in slumlords and not fixing the buildings. But he's now affecting their money. That's a problem, right? But you have the other mayors who've been in office for how many years, and they did nothing. They didn't ever address these issues, didn't care. Right? But now you have one that is doing something. Now he's the worst. He's anti-Israel. He's anti-Semitic. He's anti-Jewish because he didn't come to the parade. Because he's focusing on what he promised the people of New York: affordability, meeting their needs, making sure life is nice for regular people in New York. That's not supposed to be their agenda. Their agenda is supposed to be taking care of Israel. Okay. So with that, Ro Khanna, I think I'm gonna stick in this vein, right? Because I have to. I don't really like coming out of it. I want to play this creative right here, just talking about how resistance is our survival. Like, we have to resist. We have no choice but to always resist what's happening, what we see happening on a daily basis, because that's been all my life, right? I've been black all my life. It's been this way all my life. My parents from Alabama, I heard about their stories. I've seen early what was happening with the demonstrations and stuff like that. And it just soaks into your life. It just becomes who you are. Even though you don't really, like I always say, I never really had any real racism, or I never really saw it until I actually went to college in Alabama, because I was raised up here in the North in Maryland. Then I went to Alabama, and then I actually saw some real racism, how they really are different down there. Check it out.
Democrats like Mickey Sherrill are showing us right now that a moderate Democrat, a corporate Democrat, will absolutely carry out the whims of the police state. They will reinforce fascism every single time because they benefit from the system that they are upholding. Democrats like CIA's very own Abigail Spanberger will continue to roll back on promises they made, because at the end of the day, their allegiance and their alliance is to the same systems of fascism that we're all being oppressed by. Tim Walz showed us in Minnesota that unless you're actually willing to do what it takes to protect your people, you are yet another fascist collaborator. People are being arrested outside of Delaney Hall for saying that people should not be held in concentration camps in the richest country in the world. We cannot afford food, we cannot afford gas, we cannot afford rent, we cannot afford health care, but somehow, some way, our government always finds a way to afford more money for Israel. They always find a way to afford more money for concentration camps, to split families up, to torture people on U.S. soil. So when leftists say that we don't want to see more corporate Democrats, when leftists say that we don't want to see more AIPAC Democrats, when leftists say that we need people that are actually going to be willing to fight for all human rights, this is why we say it. Because if you're willing to give an inch, you're definitely willing to give a mile. If you're willing to sit there and capitulate and rub hands and be bipartisan with the very same party that is trying to destroy the people that are within your base, you are willing to be an active participant in their oppression. This is not hard. This is not a test that we can fail. It is open book. We know what the answer is, and our only way to survive at a time like this is to resist. Resistance is our survival. It is not the time to run scared. It is not the time to continue to fight amongst ourselves or ask the U.S. government to target anybody. Because once they get to all of us, once they get rid of all the annoying leftists that you do not like, you are left. And they are coming for you too.
So if she's saying it's right? Like I was just saying, like Spanberger, the Virginia governor. She's not gonna fight. She's not gonna fight. And when you see like Vice President O'Connor, what he said, that came out. The information about 224 dropped, and everybody was like tagging Earl O'Connor. And he immediately said, "You know what? We need to deal with this." Him and Massey, got voted out. Massey was defeated by AIPAC. They spent the most money they ever had to spend to defeat Massey, and they have the money. There's a video up here of some old Jew dude talking about they got billions to fight their image, to improve their image, right? And they already said they're going to start paying their influencers in America to start changing the image of Israel, because they don't want the truth out, right? They don't want the truth out. The truth is out, right? They don't like their own people, and that's what this next video is going to show you how. There are Jews in Israel who don't support Israel and don't want to be in their draft, and then be sent out to Lebanon to fight and die for something they don't believe in, but they have the draft there because they can. It's a fascist state. That's what happened, and that's what's going to happen here if we don't come up and fight in this country against fascism. We'll be fighting endless wars. They're already ready. They're already ready to go right now to Cuba. For no reason. Where's Maduro? Anybody seen Maduro? Where's Maduro? In Venezuela. I already showed you, right? Venezuelan oil went to Israel. This is going to be something to see in Israel. This is going to show you how the Israelis treat people that don't want to be part of Zionism.
Israel has erupted into chaos as police beat and drag protesters across the street.
Border. Where did they do that at? This all looks familiar, right? This is how ICE
So
does
Israel is currently forcing people into a military draft, which is a big issue because many people do not support the genocide in Gaza and in Lebanon. So this has caused absolute chaos in the streets because many people are refusing the draft. They will not be a part of the war that's going on, and they are actually speaking out even louder now. Many of these Jews are upset because the image of Israel. They've completely destroyed the image and the name of all Jewish people across the globe. Now, what I found very interesting is the Orthodox Jews actually had an exemption for this war for a very long time, but recently this has been lifted. Netanyahu is now forcing them to go into war and be a part of his regime to take over the Middle East. Now, what I find very respectable is a lot of these protesters, what they're telling us is that they would rather die as Jews than live as Zionists. And they said they refuse to join the army for the Zionist sake, that they are not going to push this agenda. They are not going to add to the destruction, the pain, and chaos that's going on in the world. And I think this makes the Israeli police the biggest anti-Semites on the entire planet. I can't think of anything more anti-Semitic than beating Jews and forcing them to do what you want.
Now, see, we knew that the most people, if you ever heard of it, you knew they had a draft, right? The draft, but me myself, I thought the draft was because they wanted to defend themselves, right? It's not to defend themselves. There's no reason they're in Lebanon. Why are they in Lebanon? It's not for defense. It's for offense. You know what I'm saying? Like it's for offense. They're in Lebanon right now, pressing, blowing up schools, going forward, going into South Lebanon, talking about going into Beirut because they can. Because the United States is sitting off the coast of Iran, on the outside of Hormuz, ready to strike and defend Israel if Hezbollah and Iran push into Israel. That's why they're doing it, because they got the big brother sitting right there watching it, right? And that's why they want to get as many men drafted into people. It's not just men. Many Israelis drafted into the military so they can keep sending them into Lebanon, and they are dying in Lebanon, right? They are getting hit with drones. They're not prepared for it, but they're pushing into it as if they don't really care about the number of dead they get. So if you want to die for, I see if you want to protect your country and you want to enlist for that or be drafted for that, but you want to die going into Lebanon for what? To get more land, to fulfill some vision of greater Israel? When you don't have to? You could live in peace. You probably could. I'm going to let that go. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna play one more video. I'm trying to stay away from it as much of the Israeli coverage, but there's a lot of it, and there's things that we haven't seen because our media let us down. We didn't know. We got about investigative journalists, right? Now 60 Minutes is gone because Scott Pelley was fired. CBS is gone, but there's a lot of stuff. Even with these journalists saying they were investigative journalists, they weren't telling us what was really happening, right? Because these things were happening. Well, let me show you this video because the last guy was talking about Bibi. This is Bibi. And this is what his whole thing, and this is the last video for the night. This is what his whole, and I didn't mess up, y'all. I didn't mess up one time. No, I got every video. I had one little mix up, but every time I pressed the button for the video, it was there, right? But anyway, this is Bibi laying out his vision for the world.
Mongolia, Kazakhstan, all of them, Azerbaijan, Muslim countries. First time I visited Australia, tremendous. Far away though. So we're coloring the world blue. And you know what? The numbers, you remember people talked about Israel's isolation? Remember that? Israel's isolation? Pretty soon, the countries that don't have relations with us, they're going to be isolated. There are those who talk about boycotting Israel. We'll boycott them.
That's AIPAC. That's the vision. The vision is for to rule the world, basically. They want to be the center of attention. They want to be the center of the world. And that's what Mike Huckabee That's what he said Israel is supposed to do. He believes that. He believes that Israel, those people who aren't from that, they're not from the Middle East, are supposed to be ruling the country, the world. The world. He wants to isolate countries that don't support Israel, and that is their vision. And they're close to getting it in America, right? They want to rule America. Don't think it's a game. Don't think it's they want to placate or work with America. They want to rule America. They want to make us talking about anti-Zionism illegal. They want to. There's another video. They want to be able to scan YouTube, Facebook, all the social media sites, and anytime they find speech, send it to the FBI. And then they'll come deal with you. That's the plan, because they want to rule everything. And the way Chuck Schumer says it, he's saying that he wants Israel has to be there, so there's never another Holocaust. But we're supposed to give up our country to them, so there's no another Holocaust. So they want to commit genocide on another people, so that they never have to have another Holocaust. That doesn't even make any sense. You could just be peaceful with people and not. I don't know what happened in Germany. I don't know what happened in Germany. But you know what I'm saying? Trying to take over another country and commit a genocide is not the way to go. It's the wrong way to go. We see you, and it's not going to happen. All right, so that's it, man. That's it. I try to start with AI data centers. Try to bring everyone up to speed on that. Understand that what they're trying to sell you is not what they're telling you. They're trying to sell you on dreams, man. They're trying to sell you on dreams. Something that's supposed to be a tool. They're trying to sell you that it's going to take over everything. In order for them to do that, they have to take over everything. They're going to try to take over everything. The economy is, they say this whole thing with the spending for AI right now is holding up the economy. Because that's the only thing they care about. They're not trying to do anything else. Government spending, if you know anything about the economy, government spending can lift up the economy if they were putting it in the right places. Investment. That's what Biden was doing. You know what I'm saying? Build back better bill. That's what he was trying to do. Invest in the company, build the infrastructure, because infrastructure is bad, and then stimulate the economy. Right? Instead, we got this man who is now not even coming out of the house anymore and being seen. He says he's bored with Iran. He's trying to destroy the country, and we have the Heritage Foundation, the racist ass Heritage Foundation, trying to implement a plan where this whole country is destroyed, and then they want to build back better. I don't know how without us. They're doing things that can cause mass casualty events. Firing the doctors from the CDC, pulling out the WHO, and now they're on the West Coast, pulling up a buoy system they use to monitor tsunamis, tidal waves. They just pulled it up. They don't want to use it anymore because they say it costs too much. Something that was an early warning system to protect lives. They pulled it up. And remember what happened in Texas? Texas didn't implement a system for floods, and then all those children died. This is what the Republican Party does. This is the vision for America. This is the Republican Party vision for America. Death, destruction, mass casualty, hunger, starvation, poverty. That is what the Republican Party wants for the American people. And prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Where do you see anything different? I'm gonna leave it right there, yo. We're gonna get some hope. Because we always have to end on hope. Everything's not that bad. I need to correct myself. I'm doing some spoken word tonight. And I said all things Courage. It was all things Kira J. Kira J is who she is. I've had a spoken word from her. She actually thanked me for that when I played her first spoken word. She seems like a very nice person. But I really like her poetry, and she's really been doing it for a while. I just didn't. This was actually the first time I went on her page and really looked at how much she's done. She's done a lot more than I thought. And I thought like Maui was doing a lot, and Maui the writer. But she's doing a lot too. So I'm gonna play some spoken word from Kira J, from All Things Kira J on Instagram. Check it out. And she does do live shows, so check out her shows.
If we cutting ties, let's cut them clean. Cause gradually lowering the way that you show me love just lowers my self-esteem. Cause lately you've been getting mean. I'm not unfamiliar with what's being felt. There's no one colder to you than the man you're with when he wishes he was with somebody else. And your body's laying next to me right now, but your attention is near. I told you I feel like I'm losing you and I'm not sure if you care. And actually, I need to change the way that I think. Optimism is one of my flaws, because how can you truly lose a man if he was never even yours? Yeah, I'm the one who you next to nightly. I'm the one who you spend hours with on the phone. I'm the one that gives you company when needed and space when you want to be alone. I'm the one that will run to your rescue when you need support, help, or the above. I'm the one that would be your everything, but I'm just not the one you love. Now I'm shooting texts asking how you feel about us. You text back, it reads, I don't know what to say. How am I supposed to feel secure when I feel like I'm in your way? Just tell me that you want me to stay. If you just say it, then I'll believe, because you be standing there in silence when I start saying I'm gonna leave. And if it ain't you, it just ain't you. That's not something I think, it's something I know. But if you don't love me enough to stop hurting me, then just love me enough to let me go. Cause I've been losing myself trying to find your love, and I can't do this anymore. So maybe you should go be with the woman you want, and not the one that you settled for.
Nah, I'm good right here. Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. That girl's on some heartbreak. She's known some heartbreak, but I don't know why. Yeah, man. Kira J. Check it out. Her stuff touches me. You know, I think I like melancholy stuff. I used to call myself the melancholy guy. I like melancholy stuff, but she does it in a way that it really touches my soul. I appreciate that, and it gives me some hope. I hope it gave you some hope. Check her out though. I did notice that song was that was India Re. I hope I don't get a strike because of it. I was listening to it. I started hearing India Re under that song. So please check her out. I hope that gave you a little hope after listening to all that news. Do we have any good news? No. No, there is no good news. But you know what? You have to just keep hope alive. Keep hope alive, man. Seek peace. Pursue it. All right? That's it for me tonight. I'm going to go. And let me know what you want to hear. You want to hear some go-go? I want to hear some go-go. And guess what we're going to listen to? We're going to listen to some Chuck right now. Chuck Brown. I'm going to tell you about Chuck Brown. Chuck Brown was, by the time I graduated high school in 1984, Chuck Brown was at the top of his career. You know what I'm saying? He's at the top of his career. To the point where I would love going to D.C. just to see Chuck. And then I had to write a paper. I was in my first year of college. I was at PG Community College. I had to write a paper. It was something about go out in your neighborhood and do something and write about it. So I wanted to write about the go-go. So I went to see Chuck Brown at Howard Theater by myself, because that's how I rolled, by myself, with a notebook, taking notes from my paper, listening to Chuck Brown. It was a good paper, got an A. And we didn't have the internet, so I don't have it. I wish I had it. I don't even remember what I said, but I got an A. Listening to Chuck Brown, taking notes at the Howard Theater.
You got that go-go swing. Go do-wah. Do-wah, do-wah. Special request, y'all. You got that go-go swing. You go do-wah, do-wah. Just do your thing. Y'all wanna do it by yourself one more time? Yeah.
All right, y'all. I'm going to let it out. Can't let it play too long. I might get a strike. But y'all, sorry y'all missed Chuck Brown. Y'all believe this. Y'all missed an event. Chuck Brown was always an event, man. It was always fun. It was always a groove, a vibe. That might be me right there. I'm out. All right, have a good time. Be cool. I'll see you next week. Check your candidates out on trackapac.org. Make sure they're progressive. We need progressives to win. It's about progressives or bust if we want to make a change. All right, I'm out. Peace.